So, hey everyone, today is the third Sunday of our Finance and Investment Sundays. My name is Dr. Girish Likhiani, and this is the Underdog Dentist Show. We have been doing this kind of setup for past two Sundays, that is 7th and the 14th of this month. And this will be our third Sunday. And we have been discussing about finances and investment in dentistry. We have Dr. Bhavdeep Singh Ahuja with us. He is guiding us through the process. And uh, today also, he will be taking one more session on managing personal finances, where he'll be talking about profits, savings, clinic income, and the plus and minus, and certain kind of similar mathematics. We have Dr. Vaibhav, who is helping us to manage the backend questions and queries that you have. So keep posting your queries so that he can take up the questions and forward it to us. Let me introduce Dr. Bhavdeep Singh Ahuja. Dr. Ahuja is a renowned practitioner from Ludhiana with 21 years of experience, clinical experience. He is an alumnus of Punjabi University, Patiala. Dr. Bhavdeep holds a triple MBA in hospital management, finance, and HR and marketing. He also holds a PG diploma in medical law and ethics from National Law University. He has more than 75 original scientific publications to his credit, and he lectures extensively on topics like practice management, medical law and ethics, investment and finance for dentists. I welcome you, Dr. Bhavdeep Singh Oja. The stage is all yours. Please continue. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. Girish, Dr. Vaibhav, and the whole team of Underdog Dentist Squad. Welcome, friends, to the third installment of the basics of finance, which we have planned to take in the month of June on all Sundays, all 4 Sundays of June. So definitely we are having some new visitors, new audience today. Most welcome to everyone. I'll just like to place on record a point that all the 4 installments are little bit in continuation. So if you find some missing links in today's presentation, you'll have to revisit part 1 and 2 sequentially so that you can join all the pieces together and accordingly get benefited from the basic say incentive we are going to take. So without wasting much of time, I'm going to start today's presentation. Just allow me a minute or so to share my screen. So welcome to the third installment of the third part of the Finance for Dentist Basics, which we are taking. So, okay. So as usual, all my presentations always begin with thanking the Lord Almighty, who's given me much more than what I deserve. Thank you, dear God. And my finance presentations are never complete before I thank my dad. It is Father's Day also today. So definitely one of the days I miss him a lot because he's the one who was actually responsible for making me learn it with the finance, the basic clinical finance, which we all yearn to have in our say practice. So thank you, Dad, and miss you always, especially on this Father's Day. Whatever I am, entirely because of you, and of course, Lord Almighty and my mom. So this is my brief biodata. Dr. Girish has already presented it before you. So we are here for the third installment, for the third Sunday of June. So we took up the topic of how to raise treatment charges in this post-COVID era in the first installment on 7th June. Continuing with that and mixing and matching with that, how to take record keeping, along with covering the overhead and the expenses part in the second installment on 14th June. And now I'll be taking up the management of personal finances, the real money game, in this third installment today. So again, as I said before also, there will be some overlap of the content because It is like a weaving of a story which I am doing, and you really have to be consistently connected with it, courtesy the part with the past installments, so that you can be actually aware of what I am trying to convey to you. Because whenever I'm delivering a whole day lecture, the audience can still connect, but when I'm doing it in parts, some people may find it difficult to connect some parts. So as I suggested, kindly go through the first and the second parts once you finish this. So we'll be covering these topics today: how to manage clinic income, how to take maximum benefit of your expenses, how does a strong balance sheet help you expand your business, streamlining your expenses, planning your savings, yes, how and by how much, the magical Bhavdeep formula going by my name, where does the income go even after a handsome, where does the money go even after a handsome income, and what is the cost income or profit logic. And we'll take up in brief about filing the IT returns. What is the best way for professionals like us who are self-employed, and is declaring income at 50% better, or say declaring the real profits is better? And what are the changing ITR scenarios? So let's start today's presentation. So the week began with Girish and Vaibhav sending me a supposedly meme or a light-hearted note on, say, a comparison, and they were slightly hesitant to say, "Sir, I hope you don't mind it." So I didn't mind it at all, Girish and Vaibhav. I rather loved it. It is an honor to be, say, having a comparison with the great men on the left side of me, and of course carving out my own Citabo in the terms of finances and say calculators or say calculations or management part, which I am really fond of doing with the colleagues. So thank you, Girish and team. And going with that, I'm not really sure what colors you are witnessing. It actually prompted me to say change my theme to a pink, the gulabo, the pink word which signifies gulabo to this. I'm not really sure whether you're getting the exact hue of the pink over here or not, but in my screen it is definitely pink. So coming to managing personal finances, financial records show us the real picture, and they are really the mirror of the cash flow. And there I say that they are the blueprint to our progress also, because whatever progress we have in life, it is definitely measured on account of tangible ways, or say tangible means, which is the money part. We always love to make comparisons. We always love to say compare the figures, the numbers, and I earned this much last year, I earned this much this year, and it is this percentage more than that. So we are really fond of doing that. Coming to the numbers part, if a Salman Khan movie releases, we are always fond of ये पिक्चर इतने 3 दिन में 150 करोड़ कमा गई, 125 करोड़ कमा गई, and all those things. Money as a figure, as a number excites us. Even if we don't have those numbers in hand, those numbers excite us. But yes, that actually signifies the human psyche behind appreciating those things. So we discussed a part of it in the overhead part when we were discussing all the overheads, that do we pay ourselves a salary? We have been presuming the amount of gross amount of 2 lakh from the first session. So keeping the supposedly clinic expenses at 50%, that is in the range of 1 lakh. To be on the simpler side, I've taken these numbers. So to be on the say carry home amount, so we assume that amount at 1 lakh rupees, presuming, as I said, at 50% from the gross 2 lakh what we earned over the say grossed over the counter in our clinic in an average month. So how much income are we actually say happy after say working day in and day out? Again, I'm talking presently about the normal scenarios, not the COVID scenarios. We discussed parts of COVID scenarios in part 1 and 2, but what I am discussing with you is the normal times, because I believe in an eternal optimist. I will believe that these times are going to pass away quickly, and we shall be back to our routine life, routine finances very soon. So that very soon can be 1 month, 2 months, or 3 to 4 months also. But time is not a variant in this for me. But what exactly is that we have been accorded a good amount of time by the Lord Almighty to actually look at these things. As I asked you a question, what is the carry home amount, net income? Again, I'm saying the net income means the after expenses clinic income. What is the amount that we will consider as gratifying? 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, or maybe above, or maybe low. So it again depends upon one's own lifestyle, one's own say standard of living, and one's own say clinic expenses also, because we presume 50% expenses, some may have 30%, some may have even 70%. So accordingly the net carry home amount differs. So we have been discussing this, the rising cost in the oral healthcare, which say basically has a say mechanism to given to reboot and reset our clinics for economics part. And we all know that this is happening currently to us. Whatever way or limited way we are carrying on our practice, our carry home amount has decreased drastically, and in some cases as low as by 95%. So we have been earning just 5 to 10% also, even after resumption of our practice. I'm just talking about the carry home amount, not talking about the gross collection, because we have added expenses also. We are not able to do our whole set and whole lot of procedures. We were discussing just pre-session between ourselves, Girish, Vaibhav, and me, that the patient mindset is changing these days. And the patients who literally were, I wouldn't say troubling, but calling us or pestering us to please start, they are now themselves abstaining from getting the procedures done. Even the ones who are the clinics who are guaranteeing them full amount of protection in that ways, so they are still abstaining from doing that, because again this is the point where I like to stress upon the fact that patients do value their health. And even if you say we have a 50% sale, of course that is not ethical also, but let's presume even if you place a 50% say clearance sale kind of a thing on your procedure, the patients are still not going to bargain, because for most people health is, most middle class people, health is the first criteria in their life. Whatever we may say or believe that patients come to us for money and they switch dentists for money, there will be 5, 10, 15% maximum elements in every field. But again, that is a topic of practice management for a different day altogether. I'm not going to go into that parts much, so that I say divert my attention from this part. But yes, what we were talking is that the carry home amounts have decreased a lot, and they are not good enough to say justify our expenses. So what is our future plan of action? This is a jigsaw puzzle. Unless we solve it, we otherwise will be left with a red balance sheet or a bleeding balance sheet. We discussed about balance sheet in the last part. It is a say 2-page say document. The first page has the income and the expenses, or the profit and the loss statement, along with the capital account. The second page is the asset and liability sheet. Some CAs prefer to keep a capital account on the second page also. It is no hard and fast. You can do that also. But the first page is the income and expenditure or the profit and loss statement. The second page is the asset and liability account. So we have to be really sure we are aware of those things. So how do we take advantage of our business expenses? So for that, we need to actually show the actual numbers on the right. I showed you the balance sheet. I'll be showing it again today. So let me go back and then come back to let me go ahead and let me then again come back to this slide. Sorry. What I was saying was we need to show actual numbers on the right. These are the numbers on the right. For most people, these numbers are fudged in a way that they are not actual numbers. But for most people, these numbers are actual. What does that mean? What does that mean is that you are putting in less income and you are putting in actual expenses. And that results in less of profit. See the bottommost figure, 324,752.82. So the net surplus or the profit which is carried to your capital account, The capital account is your Jama Punji, as I told you, your net worth of an entity, as we say. So if this figure is, let's suppose 10, and this figure is, I'm talking about the actual figures. Let's suppose this figure is 10, this figure is 4. So the net surplus would be 6. But if this figure is 7 and this figure will still be 4 because it is an actual one, the net surplus of the profit would be 3. So which is almost the half of what it should have been. The only reason, we don't like to pay tax. We live in a false paradise that paying less tax, we are doing a service to the nation. We are not. Let me go back to that slide. So how do we take advantage of the business expenses? The only way is by showing the actual numbers or the professional receipt. These were the professional receipts or the professional income. So if you show good or actual numbers or close to actual numbers, you will have a strong papers, or as I said in the last say, the banking word, the language used is banking, the lingo says कितनी मोटी किताबें हैं या कितनी strong किताबें हैं या कितने कागज उसके अच्छे हैं. As you say, what they translate loosely into is how strong or how thick or how rich balance sheet you have. And believe me, this plays an important role whenever you need to have a credit card, whenever you need to have a loan, or whenever you need to have it for any economical purpose. So your ITR holds good value always, and ITR is always by the net worth of an individual. So net worth of an individual. So understand, this is the problem. This is the right side of the figure where we have a say issue over here. These are usually the actual ones because for them we usually make the exact payments or the exact bills we have. I'll come to that in the last section of the ITR also today. So we need to understand this part. So okay, so the earlier we streamline our expenses, the sooner we'll solve this conundrum of say expenses or income in that sense. So we block our money and storage space with unwanted gadgets and materials. As we discussed in the income and the overhead part in the second session, people are on a buying or a splurge spree for buying all kinds of gadgets just to lure patients. Nothing wrong in it. If you have a good balance sheet, if you have good money to throw, I don't discourage that. But for a normal middle class dentist, I'll strongly discourage that. Still, the guidelines from the government or the statutory bodies like Ministry of Health or the DCI are clear, crystal clear for everyone. Because otherwise, we might have some of the equipment which will be staring at us, just say putting in depreciation every year after year, but not being used after the initial first 2-3 months. And that is where the problem is going to come for the average middle class dentist. So we have to really understand that part. So we don't need to block your money. As I said, if you have money to throw, go ahead. So economically speaking, if we don't throw the money over there, now imagine this scenario. If we don't throw the money over here, we can use the same money in building up our retirement corpus. Remember, I always say, I said in the first part also, we are not going to get pensions in our life. We have to plan for our own retirement only. And unless we have a good handsome amount in our pocket at the age of 55 to 60, of course, there is no hard and fast that you can retire at that point. But again, you have to set a bar somehow or somewhere. If you have a good corpus in today's times, in today's actual times, talking of 2020, if I say you have at the age of 55, you have 3.5 to 4 crores in your pocket, you can safely wish and hope to retire. This figure will change with, of course, increasing inflation in the next 5 years. So this is the thing you try to understand, that whatever money you save from here, you can build up your retirement corpus. So I always have discussion with a few colleagues. Some of them are even say I'm 40 plus. So some of them are even 48, 47, 49. So one of them I was having discussion only yesterday. He said, I love whatever you post in your WhatsApp group on finance. I really love it, but I can't really comment it because me and my wife are struggling to just pay back our loans presently. So the way we actually start getting close to freeing up our loans, I'll contact you for investments. I just said him one thing. You both of you are in say one of them is in a college, one of them is in a civil service. So I said both of you are earning a handsome amount. You have grown up kids now, grown up in the sense their kids are around 16, 17, 18, and their basic education part has been taken care of by them only. So can't even you spare 10 to 20,000 a month? He said, yes, इतना तो हम कर लेंगे. इतना तो हम कब से करते हैं. Then why are you not investing it? Even small droplets can build a big ocean. We have to understand. So we have to look at our selling points vividly. What exactly our selling points are, and what we do in our practice, identifying our patients, identifying the say procedures we do in our practice. We have to identify that, and then accordingly we have to go in for the buying part. We shouldn't go in for, as I discussed last time also, we shouldn't be lured when we see new materials on Facebook or say in the exponent, that we should buy those thinking that our deficit will be fulfilled only from a single patient. And I call that as the strangest economic thought, that we spend good amount of money in such materials which are costing not much, very medium costing, but they are huge in number sometimes, and our drawers are filled up with them, which we have never used. Cut down our losses from them in our balance sheet. This is the way we can take advantage of our expenses in them. So then I told in the last session also, take advantage of these cash payment rules also. Whenever you pay or say take as per law also, any loan installment, any say property payment or any similar payment, giving loan or taking loan, above 2000 above sorry 20,000 has to be in a digital format. Any clinic expense above 10,000 will have to be in a digital mode, otherwise it will not be permissible as clinic expenses. Any political party or any donation for any NGO also above 2000 has to be in a digital mode. It cannot be say in cash. And again, the last or the first, we say any income we receive from our patient in the clinic cannot be more than 2 lakhs in cash. Above 2 lakhs, even if it is a rupee above 2 lakhs, it has to be in a discount. You can't split your say if your patient, if your FMR patient is going to pay you 4 lakhs, so you can't split that you pay me 2 lakh one month, 2 lakh in another month, because when that patient will ask you for a bill of 4 lakhs, you'll have a problem showing those 4 lakhs. So then you can say come across as a penalty also in those sense. So okay, let me show you this again, the balance sheet. As I said, I'll be showing the first page is the income and expenditure of the profit and the loss account. We have expenditure on the left and the income on the right. Below there is depreciation of fixed assets along with the surplus. Surplus is basically the profit. Then we add the interest income, whatever it is from the bank. And this page is continued below. As I said, this is the way my father and my CA had been doing in the past. And what procedure I have learned is that I carry out or say build up the capital account on the first page. Capital account is those entries which have no relation to your clinic. So those are done actually in the capital account, and that is, as I say, it is called as your Jama Punji. This is a demo account made for the just study purpose only. So we come to the second page now, which is the asset and liability account. So in this, we have the liabilities on the left side and the capital, the assets on the right side. Now think vis-a-vis that, what I said, if your expenses are decreased, that means your banks will have more payments, because anyways you will making the payment from here only. So if you have say more balance over here, you can accordingly do some investment in different things like PPF, like LIC. We'll discussing the various investment instruments in the next part. I'm just keeping it to the expenses and the ITR scenario in today's presentation. So kindly don't post any questions related to investment as well. So that will be taken up in the fourth part. So if you are not splurging on your unwanted expenses, you're keeping some more balance out here, which will serve as the nidus for your investment in your retirement corpus. Remember, we have to save and earn from our clinic only, and we have to invest for our future from our clinic only. For most of us, yes, for many colleagues, there might be a say parallel income flowing from any other say side business, but for most of us we only have a single clinic or say single source of income through our clinic only. So this page continued below. This is our say assets, the medical equipment or the dental equipment, furniture, fixture, and those parts. So when we talk about managing the personal expenses, and when I say streamline our expenses or take advantage of them, the basic and the first mode part is that take full advantage of your depreciation also. I'll go back again 2 slides. Just see. Depreciation of fixed assets. This, as I said, we don't, when we buy a new equipment, as I've told in the second part of this presentation on 14 June, that we don't actually buy, we don't put in the whole expense of the equipment, which are say our assets. We just put a portion of that. For most dental equipments, it is in the range of 15%. So what does that mean? We are just adding a 15% of our cost in the expense section. So buy your expensive or heavy or say equipment in the first half only. Why I say first half? Because if you do that, you will be taking full depreciation. And we discussed that last also. The cutoff date is the 3rd October. There is nothing to do with Gandhi Jayanti or the say 30 September or the midpoint. The only logic for depreciation is that out of 365, 180 days should be remaining. So 185 days have elapsed. So the 185 days complete on the 3rd of October. So if you buy after 3rd October, this is a leap year. The last was a leap year. So the last means the April 19 to March 20 I'm talking. So that was a leap year because February came in that financial year. Accordingly, for that, the cutoff was 4th October. So if you have bought any equipment before 4th of October, it will get full depreciation. Otherwise, you'll get half depreciation for that year. So that way, you can fully use your depreciation part also very effectively to say curtail your expenses or say properly make effective use of your expenses. So this is, as I said, let's suppose I gave you the calculation. This is 3,28,000. If you add the depreciation cost, whatever we calculate, how do we calculate that? I told in the last part that see the depreciation for this is 44,000, or this is 1,700, or this is say 10,000, 8,000, 8,500. When you add these individual amounts, 85, 81, 10,000, 1,700, you will arrive at a figure of almost 73,417, which is added to your total expenses. We add only a portion of that, as I told last time. So we have to understand that if we don't, if we buy a heavy equipment which is costly, say above 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, and if we avail just a half depreciation of it, so we are not actually making use of our full expenses. So we have to make sure that we use such smartness in this in today's smart world also. So as I told you last time, there are different slabs for depreciation: 5, 10, 15, 40, 60. And these slabs are applicable differently. Most dental equipment come with 15%, furniture and fixture 10%, electrical 15%, computer and laptop, land and building 5. So whatever you buy out of these also, which if it is an expensive one, you have to make sure that you actually say buy in the first half if you can at the most better. We are lucky that the COVID scenario happened in the month of March exactly. 21st March was the last working day for me and many colleagues. The day the Janta curfew started on 22nd March, Sunday. So it's been say 3 months today exactly, till 21st March, 21st June. So in these 3 months, we got to know many things. And yes, we'll be making some investments for some gadgets as the guidelines are clear to us in the coming months. So obviously, we hope that we buy it in the first half only for this also, so that we can take advantage of the same fact. So this I already told you. If you buy it less than say 3rd October, say then less than 180 days remaining, you put in half depreciation for that year. For a leap year, the cutoff is 4th October. So even if you buy on the last day of the year, you can still avail the half depreciation. I gave you an RBG example. You say booked in the month of December, made first payment in March, the subsequent payments in April and May, the post-dated checks. You'll get only depreciation on the paid amount only, because most of the CAs are following the cash system of accounting. As we discussed the two systems, the cash and the mercantile system of accounting. So when we talk about managing personal finance, again, my favorite line in this is that you might be having the best of the practice management tips and the gurus around you. But if you don't know actually the value of numbers and figures, all that knowledge comes to a big loss, big not, or a big zero. So we all like to accumulate more and more wealth from our patients, but are really least bothered with where that money goes. And sometimes we fathom over this thought that we had earned this much, a good handsome salary or a income, but where did the money actually go? Where did it run away? So it doesn't matter how many resources you have, they'll never be enough if you don't use them judiciously. So you have to be really very, say, fond of your numbers in your clinic to be growing in financial literacy in life. So the only problem is that we don't plan our future. And if we do that, small steps taken today can go a long way in carving our happy future. And as I told you, the example of my colleague, age 47, 48, who hasn't even thought of investments or retirement in his life. So he might be lucky that he is in civil services. He might be still drawing a pension, but not all of us are. So we have to say plan our future also. The COVID-19 might be a big deterrent in the say roadmap of many dentists, but I believe this is a good time because, as I said, I believe all good things, bad things come to end one day. So if you were having good times, they came to an end. We are currently having bad times economically or financially, they too will come to end soon. But then this is the time to reset and reboot. You really need to know where your life was or is going, where you have been splurging, or you all might have actually got an idea in the past 3 months, as we were discussing in the time frame 22nd March to 21st June today. So we actually might have got an idea that our living expenses are not much more, not much more. Our needs are never too much. It is only our wants which we have been splurging upon have created a problem in our lives. The standard of living which we have been used to follow, the say financial mistakes we have been making. I'll be detailing a few of them today in this limited time workshop. So planning is about bringing the future into the present, and so that you can do something about it now. So good to say words of wisdom said by Ellen Lakin. So we actually like to say avoid paying tax, thinking that tax क्यों देना है, टैक्स देने से क्या हो जाएगा, टैक्स पॉलिटिशियन खा जाते हैं, उनकी जेब में चले जाता है, and all those things. Believe me, many things are, or rather almost all things are digitized. Not all politicians are alike, and not all governments are alike. I'm not going into any kind of debate of BJP or Congress over here. But what I mean to say is that you're paying a tax digitally, it is going into the banks, and from there it is going for the development also digitally. Since the government is doing digital transactions, so whatever corruption level happens, it happens from the money outside the system. It is not happening from the money inside the system. This you have to understand very clearly. And let's leave that point. That is none of our business. Where how does the government spend and how does the government not spend. That is none of our business actually. Our business is to actually, let's be selfish for a moment. Our business is to grow ourselves. So if you are not growing yourself, imagine if you are concealing about say 100 rupees, just because that you have to pay 20 rupees or 30 rupees out of that to the government. So you'll be left with only 70 or 80 if we are following the old tax regime. So of course, I strongly believe that no dentist fall in the 5% range. And in any case, 5% till the 5% slab, the tax is zero only. So most of the dentists fall in the 20 to 30% the range. So if out of that 100, you don't like to say pay 20 or 30 to the government, then you dump that 100 into your, say, I always call अपने सुरंग में दबा दिया या अपने ट्रंक में दबा दिया और या अपने कहीं भी छुपा दिया. Remember, even if it is a 70 or a 80, and even if it grows by average, we say 8 to 10%. Yes, of course, presently the growth rate has come down considering the low interest rates presently. But again, I said we are talking about the normal scenarios. Good times will be back. There have been times when mutual funds have been giving us the good returns of 16 to 18%. So if I take just the returns of 10% average, so you put in a PPF which was around 8 point something, 8.1, 8.2, now it is 7.1. So which was 8.5, or a mutual fund which was giving you 12. So if the average was around 10%, your money, 100 rupee or the remaining 80 or 70 was growing at 10%. And then you were actually, remember that 100 is not from your daily needs. That is your concealed money. If I talk it very bluntly, yeah, the money you needed for your growth or needed for your needs, you already had to show that, and you are actually spending from that only. But some part of the money which you had concealed, if that money of 80 rupees is growing at 10%, it will be 88 next year. I'm not taking the cumulative part into account yet. 80 into 10% is 8%. So add that, it will be 88 next year. Again, add that, it will be around 96. Of course, it will be more than 96. So in average 2.5 years, you're getting your money back. For 70 also, you're getting your money back in maybe 3 to 4 years. Remember on that concealed amount, the money is going in a cycle. If that money is lying in your trunk or in a cupboard or in a almirah or dumped in somewhere, and I'm not talking of the scenario when the government stops those or demonetizes those pinkies again. Pinkies mean the 2000 notes. But let's not talk about those scenarios which are not in our hand. But the money dumped in your almirahs is not earning anything. It is rather deflating in value, courtesy the inflation. Every year we have raised expenses. That 100 is turning into 95, 92 if the inflation is 8%. If it is 7%, 93. So remember, if you invest that, it is growing. If you don't do it, it is decreasing in value. So you're getting doubly hit. You have to understand this. Again, I'll mention the theory of relativity. I mentioned in the last two workshops also, last two sessions also. Two trains going at 80 kilometers per hour in opposite direction. The one sitting in A train will feel that the other train is going at 160. So this is where the theory of relativity comes to your also. Your money is not growing also because you didn't show. The key word is show. You didn't show also, and your money is say deflating in its amount also, courtesy inflation, lying there in your cupboard. Again, the risk and the insecurity and say loss of sleep over those unaccountable money. Many of us who do it still have a fear. I'll have an income tax rate over me. Of course, that is a different scenario for altogether, but I'm not talking about that. But then it makes you lose peace of your mind. You have to understand that paying tax is also contributing to the development and the growth of the nation, which we all look forward to. So let's, as I said, let's be selfish for a moment. Let's suppose I am investing to grow my money for my own self so that I don't have to beg or borrow from my kids. I want to be self-reliant, Atmanirbhar Bharat, as we said in the recent word, but I have been using this term self-reliance in all my workshops in the past 8 years now. So ever since I started speaking of finance in 2012. So we all wanted to be self-reliant. So for that, we have to invest. We have to save for our future. And a perfect saving ratio is 30 to 35% of our total income. What does that mean? 30 to 35 of, if we were talking total income. If we intend to retire at the age of 55, or we are forced to retire because dentistry is not a very kind profession. It takes a toll on our back and neck, and many of us do literally have a sedentary lifestyle. So we have to think about it, that we actually do it. It is not easy at all to put in 30 to 35% of your income, but it is a perfect saving ratio, or as we call the ideal ratio. So, why did the government extend the, say, investment dates from 31st March to 30th June? Whatever investments in the next 9 days also, and in the past 51 days, 81 days, you have been making from 1st April to today, you have the option in the ITR to put in the 1920 or the 2021. Because as per government data, more than 75% of the investments happen in the month of March, which is actually the last 10 days of the year. And since the lockdown started from almost 22nd March only, effectively, since the Janata curfew, there was only a day in between on 23rd March. So the lockdown started from 24th. So the government lost out on a big chunk of investment. Obviously, whatever you invest, the money goes to the government, and the government uses it for the country's development only. So if that is the reason it was extended by 3 months, so that people can still invest and government has the money to recycle for development in the whole year. So we literally say, even those of us who are very successful in our careers, even we just call up our CAs or financial advisors, or our CAs or financial advisors call us, PPF में कितने डाले, NSE में कितने डाले, म्यूचुअल फंड में डाल दो, अच्छा उसमें सिर्फ ले लो, अच्छा let me talk to my friend, ये तूने कौन से फंड में पैसे डाल लेते, कितने रिटर्न मिली तेरे को, अच्छा डाल दूं, ठीक है ना, ओके इस फंड में इतने डाल दो. We just throw our money literally, and that is actually cruel on our part. We actually are doctors. We say indulge in the process of making a diagnosis first, then making a treatment plan, and then constituting or instituting the treatment for the patient. But when it comes to money, we follow the reverse strategy. That is actually very wrong. So isn't it an irony that we slog in day and night to earn those notes, the grays, the blues, and the pinks, and we hardly care to save for our rainy days. Rainy days, we always say it is the emergency money fund. April end, just 30-35 days into say the lockdown, so many of us were, say, panicking. Where will I eat from? I don't have money. How will I live? I was shocked at many colleagues who contacted me for such things. Really speaking, if we don't have an emergency fund for us, or even if we can't say eat for 3 months from our pocket, I'll say very crudely or coldly, better change your profession. Your profession, you're not daily wagers or daily laborers that you need to earn daily and earn, say, make a living out of it, or say make a say make your expenses out of that, or run your family from that. So that is itself a very cruel aspect. So if we talk about investment, this is known as investment. He's won, Usain Bolt has won 9 gold medals, and he's run less than 2 minutes on the track. But for those 115 seconds, he's made more than 119 million. But for those less than 2 minutes or 115 seconds, he's trained for 20 plus years. This is investment. If you want to live a, say, peaceful life, say, in your retirement, you need to act today. What I'm doing is actually guiding you. This is the missing link between the 2nd and the 4th session, guiding you towards a path where we can deal with investment part in the 4th session or the 4th Sunday on 28th June. So one may be, say, interested in potentially less risky investments like an FDR. Of course, they are no longer even the less yield investments. They are poorest or the pettiest investments. I always give say demo about that. I'll be uploading a YouTube video on that very shortly about the FDR actual returns. It is a very, very, very poor instrument which yields actually lower than the even the saving bank interest in current times. So, but yes, generally speaking, one can be potentially interested in less risky investments with lower yield, or some may be interested in say higher risk investments like a small cap mutual fund, which can potentially give a higher return, but has an equal risk of say forfeiting your capital totally. So the biggest, what are the financial mistakes we look at actually? So again, as I said, the building the base for the fourth installment. This is the bridge between the second and the fourth. So we don't save less than 20% of our income. Uh, Going by the thumb rule, every individual should save 10% of the gross income. For dentists, I always, or doctors, we always say the rule is 20%. Why? Because we have 10 years potentially less than them. Our careers start late because our say education period are then we work as a locum or assistant, and then we open up our practice and the practice settles down. It takes around 10 years. It cuts 10 years. Then our families start late, marriage, kids, all those erratic lifestyle habits take a toll on our profession or say on our life. So there we have actually lost 10 years in that, and 10 years is a huge time. So that is why, so we always say that we should save around 20% of your income, of our gross income. As I mentioned, 30 to 35 is the ideal. 10% is recommended for everyone, but 20% minimum as a thumb rule for doctors or dentists throughout their career. So even if you're 30 or 35 and you haven't started yet, remember you haven't lost much. 20 years to invest is a good time from 35 to 55 if you plan to retire in those 20 years. Again, going back to the first say installment of this session or the first part of the series, if you are not earning well or if you're not charging well, how will you save your income? It is not about earning 20,000, saving say 4,000 out of that. You can't live in the remaining 60,000. So you have to understand, if you don't charge well, you don't earn well. And if you don't earn well, you don't save well. So all these things are actually linked. So that is the reason I mentioned that practice management without the knowledge of finance is a big zero. So what are the other financial mistakes? Mentioned a bit of that, the FOMO approach, the fear of missing out, the Facebook and the Instagram being the biggest culprits. So they are actually destroying the say social life of most of us in that sense. So if I may say be allowed to say that, so people used to buy cars, people used to go to exotic vacations even before the social media came into being. What's so special about it? Just the FOMO approach, fear of missing out. So it is actually destroying our social fabric. No track of cash flow. We really don't know where the money is coming from and where it is going, because the CA prepares our balance sheet. We just give him the account statements. We whatever we can we keep. Otherwise, we are say perplexed. Where has the money gone? We earned so much, we grossed so much. कहाँ गया यार, पैसे कमाए तो थे, कहाँ गए? We actually don't know. So that is where we don't have any idea about that, and that is the biggest financial mistake, along with the not saving enough. Then the biggest this is the failure, the biggest failure of our lives, which came to fore in lockdown. Had the lockdown not happened, we would not have say come to most of us would have never thought of the emergency budget word. We always listen to it, we should save for the rainy days, we should have the emergency budget. Theoretically बहुत सुनने में अच्छा लगता है, लेकिन when it came to practicality in the past 3 months, believe me or not, I'll not mince word, लोगों की पैंट एक महीने में गीली हो गई. So that was the say ridiculous excuse given by so many colleagues that I don't have money actually. So what have you done? What have you earned in the past? People with 15 years plus of practice complain to me, I don't have money, boss. I have to go to clinic. I have to risk my life. How will I live? How will I make a living? 15 साल से क्या कर रहा था यार तू? I was doing nothing यार, I was earning only, but पता नहीं पैसे हैं कहाँ पे, मेरे को खुद को idea नहीं. Isn't it an embarrassing situation that even after 15 years you can't eat from your pocket? I know many colleagues who literally risked their life doing AGPs and not stopping even for a day after lockdown. AGP means the aerosol generating procedures. So they're doing that and not risking and not say caring for their family life. So emergency budget is one thing. What we include in emergency budget is usually either your 6 months of expenses or your 3 months of gross income. That is your emergency budget, which we keep handy. That whenever the rainy days come, we need to save that. And believe me, we need to actually understand that the kind of burden we have been putting on Mother Nature, these scenarios will be very frequent in the next 5-6 years. We might have a COVID too, God forbid we have it, but we might have a COVID too, we might have any other thing. So we need to think about that. The future is always very uncertain. So you need to have an emergency budget. No financial planning with most of the colleagues. People don't know just to save their money. I always say even colleagues of same age will have different goals. Like for example, I have a kid who's 13-year-old, another kid who's a younger one. So for one kid, I'll need money after 5 years for higher education. So if I have gross money today, I'll be putting up that money for the amount that I'll need to take that out in an investment. I will not block it for a longer period. But for the younger one, I can do it for a longer period, for 10-15 years maybe, that I don't need that amount. So that is where the goals might be different. People of my age might be having the first child as same me, but they had twins. Their goals identically shifted from mine. So every situation is unique. Every individual is unique. We need to you need to have a say strong financial advisor who can advise you according to your needs, your unique needs and say requirements. And then gold is an excellent hedge when we say to buy whenever we need to balance out our investments. But people don't buy digital gold. They are fond of having physical gold and then kept in lockers, and then which is utilized साल में 1 या 2 दिन वो बाहर आता है बेचारा ऑक्सीजन लेने के लिए, because there is a marriage in the family or a function in the family. आगे जाके वो भी नहीं पता, because the marriages are lifted to 50 people. Whether you fall in the top 50 or not, it will depend upon your behavior in the family. So let's jokes apart. But yes, the physical gold involves making charges also. Then it has a breakage charges also. But the others also, digital gold is the more preferred way in today's times. So then an extremely conservative approach. As I gave you an example of FD, people want to live on 6 to 7%. Now even the FD rates have fallen below 6%. And then some people would love to keep the cash at home. अगर जरूरत पड़ गई तो, that is the only thing. अगर जरूरत पड़ गई तो कैश था घर पे, तो फिर इमरजेंसी के टाइम पे या कोविड-19 के टाइम पे वो कैश कहाँ गया? Please answer me that thing. So you have to understand. So the root cause of all this is that we don't know how to manage our personal finance, which is the topic of today. We need to have some amount of financial literacy about it. So for that, we need to develop the habit of saving. Because if we want to live a long, comfortable retirement life, save more today. So Warren Buffett has given a beautiful line: spend, say, save mindlessly, spend consciously. So let me introduce to another concept, the basics concept again, the FIRE approach. Don't worry, I'm not transporting you into the medieval or the stoneman era. So FIRE means financial independence and early retirement. For what? For your alternate RIP. RIP, alternate RIP, what is it? We all know RIP is rest in peace. Last week we had a young film actor actually resting in peace last Sunday, Sushant Singh Rajput, we all know about it. But what is this alternate RIP? This is a word devised by me only. So I always say plan for your alternate RIP, retirement investment planning, before you actually RIP or rest in peace. So you need to learn about it. You need to plan for it. We'll be taking up some investment instruments in the next session, of course. but plan for your alternate RIP before you actually RIP. So let's come to the budgeting rules. What exactly are the budgeting rules? The standard rule followed all over the world is the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of your income towards necessities like your normal housing, bills, ration, everything. Then 30% allocated to your wants like vacation, dining, or entertainment. And 20% for your financial goals or paying off your debt or saving for your retirement. Now let's dissect this further. So 50-30-20 has a variant also. People say you can merge these first two heads. You can use it as a 80-20 rule. 20% keep for your goals as we kept here, but and then 80% combined on your needs and wants. So you can do a use as a 80-20 rule also. But what is the catch in this rule? Again, this is after deducting your clinic expenses or from your net carry home amount. We have been presuming a gross amount of 2 lakh and a net amount of 1 lakh since the say the first session now. So we calculated that you may have 40 to 60 also or 40 to 55 also, but we presumed it at 50%. So let me further dissect it. Where does the money go actually after enhancement income? Your gross 2 lakhs in a month, 1 lakh we presume 50% as your clinic expenses, everything included, rent, salary, materials, lab, depreciation, everything included. 1 lakh we presumed at 50%. So remaining you have 1 lakh. Going by the 50-30 formula, 50-30-20 formula, 50% on your necessities, 30% on your wants, 20% on your alternate RIP or your alternate retirement investment planning. What did I said before? The perfect ratio is 30 to 35%. 30 to 35% of 2 lakhs of your gross will be 60 to 70,000. What we are putting is 20,000. Ideal is 60 to 70,000. We have allotted only 20,000. What was the minimum figure I said? 10% for a common man, but 20% for doctors and dentists. So even that 20% is 40,000. 20% of 2 lakh is 40,000. What we are allocating by 50-30 rule? 20,000. Just the half of it, which is not good enough. So confused what to do? If we go by the thumb rule, ki minimum 20% has to be earned from the gross income, that is 40,000 by, if we go by this example of 2 lakhs, I've just kept the figure constant throughout my 3 sessions so that there is no confusion, those who watch in say continuity. So what is the solution? The solution is my magical formula, which I devised a couple of years back. I devised an alternate to a 50-30-20 rule, the magical Bhavdeep formula. This is the 45-15-40 rule. Going with the same 50-30-20, just cutting down some from your needs, much from your wants, and transporting both of that into the alternative. Save mindlessly, spend consciously. I follow this philosophy of Warren Buffett very strongly. Let me dissect it further. 40% of your income towards necessities, housing, bills, ration. 15% to your wants like vacation, dining, or entertainment. So again, along with FOMO, there is another approach which is very strongly followed, especially when we come to this section, the YOLO approach. You only live once. बच्चे अपना खुद कमाएंगे, हम अपनी जिंदगी जिए, ऐश करें. Again, a varied philosophy. Not exactly a big fan of this philosophy. So, but if you curtail 5 from here and 15 from here, the remaining 20 you can transport here. So 40% should go towards your financial goals. 40% of your 2 lakh, 40% of your say 1 lakh will be 40,000, which will be actually 20,000 or 20% of your gross income. This is what we actually want. So the 40 from net is actually 20% from your gross, because we presume the expenses at say 50%. So understand that this is a must for all of us, and we cannot really escape from this. So don't let your money go in vain. Suppose you gross 2 lakhs, 1 lakh are your clinic expenses, the remaining is 1 lakh, then 45 for your necessities, 15 for your wants, and 40K is for your alternate RIP or for your retirement investment plan. So let me come to a few other misconceptions regarding the ITR also for the dentist. We all know what exactly is a financial year and what exactly is an assessment year. If not, I'll be detailing there very briefly about few of the terms which are commonly used. We all know calendar year is from 1st Jan to 31st December. My dad always used to tell me, remembering him on Father's Day. So my dad always used to tell me on 31st December, "Tu itna khush mat ho, tera naya saal 31st March raat ko aayega. Your year will begin on 1st April." I was going, no, dad, the whole world is celebrating. Let me celebrate. Say I'm talking in financial terms. He was a banker, so he loved to talk numbers. So he used to guide me in such a way that these things became the norm. Every 31st December, I remember him. Of course, he's no longer with us. We lost him last year on 30th June. So, but every 31st December, whenever people talk of New Year, I still remember his one line that my New Year will be on 31st March night or 1st April. Of course, in financial terms, if we say. So then we have an assessment year. What exactly is assessment year? Again, this is the same year, but it is following the say income which is there. What is the difference actually between that? Whatever income we have earned from April 2019 to March 2020 in the 12 months, we will be filing return in the month of July 2020 as per normal schedule. But again, because of the COVID times, that has been extended to November 30th. But let's presume the normal times just for a minute. We pay or say assess that income and pay tax on it or file our returns in 2020. And what exactly is the year going on? This is 2020, 2021 going on. So we earn in a financial year, we pay and assess and file our returns in the assessment year. So AY is always after FY. Both begin on same time, but the bottom line is income is earned in financial and taxes paid in say assessment year. Why is this important? Why am I telling you? Just see example for this. I'll just take this example. April 19 to 2020. This is financial year 1920, which just passed 2.5 months back. This will be assessment year 2021. If we go by that, because income tax of the ITR forms have an AY over it. They don't have a FY mentioned over it. Income tax department always deals with AY. It never deals with FY. So taxpayers always have to select AY. Now they have made say digital platform very simplified. Now whenever you want to pay any tax or advanced tax, self-assessment tax, you click on that AY. It asks you this AY is for, it flashes you a message. This AY is for financial year this. Are you sure you want to do that? It asks you. So even the layman who were not very aware of these two terms can be very clear about it. Then in Hindi, it is the financial year is called as the Vidya Varsh and assessment year is called as the Nirdharan Varsh. So we all need to be actually aware of these two terminologies because income tax form will always have an AY over it and not FY mentioned over it. So what is the income tax regimen in India? We have two kinds of taxes, the direct and the indirect. The direct tax are the taxes we pay on our income. Indirect taxes are the ones which we pay indirectly in the form of service tax, VAT, and many other say 17, 18 different type of taxes, which were unified in July 2017 by late Mr. Jaitley as a goods and service tax, or the GST, which we know as. Then the GST became the One India, One Tax regime, wiping out all, say, combining all the 17, 18 types of taxes. So we actually had it. So these are the indirect taxes which most of us have to pay on all the goods and the services, and they fall in the different range: 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%, 32%. It varies from say service to service and different goods also. And the GST Council keeps on revising them every now and then. So the restaurants had 18% tax when it was launched, but soon they revised it to 5%, making dining out comparatively cheaper. Of course, the five-star still charge a luxury tax over that. So who has to file the say income tax return in India? So whosoever has a gross income, I mentioned in the say second installment, whosoever has a gross income of 2.5 lakhs, anyone earning grossing means again the total income, not the net income. So whosoever gets a salary or a or say gross collection in his clinic above 21,000 rupees a month average, if we talk, will fall in the 2.5 lakhs category. And who out of us is not doing that? Remember, as per the government data, only 13% of the dentists are filing income tax. So that is where the problem comes in our say life. So then the range is for the senior citizens, which we say is up to 3 lakhs. For super senior citizens, the term for people above 80 is used as 5 lakhs. The range is 5 lakhs. So super seniors are the citizens above 80 years of age. Then if you have income from salary, house, property, or say other gains, then if you want to claim income tax refund, so I mentioned in the last video also, the last session also, that government or say banks deducted TDS over it. So we shouldn't feel bad over it. Let's suppose your total tax liability is 100 rupees. Your bank deducted 20 rupees. You had to pay an advance tax of 30 rupees. Your regular assessment tax was 40 rupees. So 40, 30 and 20, make it 90. So when you assess your return or calculate your self-assessment tax, you'll pay only 10 rupees. So it is just a portion of that. But if your say tax liability is 100 rupees and via different means the bank has deducted your tax more, and your total say is goes up to say 110, and you have to claim that 10 rupees extra paid, you have to file the return. You can't bite the excuse that we don't fall in the tax slab or we are 0% income. People who are earning or grossing over 21,000 per month or 2.5 lakh per year. Why I mentioned 21,000 is because 20 into 12 is 2,40,000. When you add 21,000 into 12, it is 2,52,000. So that is just a figure to make things simplified. It is not by the government. The government has given a figure of 2.5 lakh only. So want to claim income tax refund from the government? Yes, you have to file. If you have invested in any foreign assets, the FATCA declaration comes into play. The government had a treaty with the US government and many other, wherein even if you have a single dollar in your foreign account, you are liable to show it. You wish to apply for visa or loan applications, you need to have a copy of ITR. They'll first ask for the previous 2-year, 3-year copy depending upon their norms. Then if you're a company or a firm, you need to file your ITR irrespective of the profit or the loss. So the income sources can be 5. So they can be income from salary and pension. Whenever the word salary is used, the pension word is interchangeably used for that. In the government sector also, in the announcement sector also, in the banking sector also. So whenever the word salary is used, it is interchangeable for pension. Whatever benefit come for salary people, they are allowable for salary people simultaneously. So any income from rental or house property, then income from capital gains, mutual fund, share, house property, then business and profession. I mentioned in the say session 2 about the schedule BP, the business and profession. So where we are self-employed, CAs, doctors, lawyers, all fall into this category. Then the income from other sources, which is usually the ignored one. So income from savings account, fixed deposits, recurring deposits, winning game shows, and all those things which are, they were actually less accountable, but now they have to be accountable. The ITR forms were modified last year itself in the filing of July 2019 only, extended when it was extended by 1 month to August 19, that they made separate column for that. You have to specify what is your saving account interest, what is your fixed deposit, what is your NSC, what is your recurring deposit. You have to make separate columns and say specify all the interests specifically. So if you are not working in sync with your CA, you're not showing actually complete income. And if you're not showing actually a complete income, you are making yourself less liable in that sense, and your balance sheet is considerably weak because your assets are not in full visibility. So a very common query is, can I reduce income next year? But if I do so, if I reduce, will the income tax people have a radar on me or have an eye on me? This is a wonderful query which I actually get in many of my lectures and workshops. A general funda followed throughout the country is CAs always increase your income by 10% every year. Actual में चाहे आपकी income घटी हो, but CAs will increase those income by 10% because we're already not showing actual income. So that is where the problem comes. And this is not limited to dentists. This is limited to almost all the self-employed. When I talk about say 7 crore ITRs filed out of 135 crore people, and out of that 1.5 crore, I will say zero tax ITRs, leaving that with 5.5 crore, and from that about 4 crore are the salaried people. So what does that leave us with? I discussed that in the first session also. 1.5 crore people self-employed paying tax in India. Just 1.5 crore. That includes all the professions like us, doctors, lawyers, CAs, architects, and all the professions. And the biggest number all over India in any city is whose? The shopkeepers. Any city has endless number of shopkeepers. Nobody of them is earning. So now in COVID times, people will actually be in a suit. If the CA shows less income than the previous year, which they have to because the COVID times will not make you earn, that is where the problem comes. Actuals matter. If you have been increasing every year कि हम इस साल बढ़ा के धीरे-धीरे बराबर कर देंगे, पर the approach comes, do we need to pay tax? छोड़ो यार, tax क्यों देना? As I discussed in the first part of the session, that is where the problem. Most of these guys who have been doing this will actually realize this in 2021. They can't put in full income. They will actually have, whenever we resume practice, they will have more income in any case than their actual ITR. So that is where the problem will come to balance out the two things. So ask your CEO how he's going to handle such a thing. For people who are already showing actual income, this is not going to be a problem. So another one very common query I get is, I've just added these 2-3 queries in this because these are the very common questions which are posted to me. Suppose I have 10 lakh money in my saving account. Obviously, that will be my profit at the time of filing tax. So whether I have to pay total tax on 10 lakh or how tax is calculated on that amount. And if I pay tax on that 10 lakh rupees, next year I have a balance of 15 lakh. Then whether I have to pay tax only on that profit of 5 lakh or total 15 lakhs. So people actually confuse between the two things. The only reason, lack of financial literacy. So we pay tax only on the income of that year. And how do we arrive at that figure? The income in white actually, which is already in digital mode, plus the drawings. Drawings are the personal expenses for your ration or for your other things. And then for your cash payments, of course, as I said, now there is a rule of 10,000, but people used to pay many things in cash. So then again we get into that डर की जिंदगी कि यार ये उधर से रेट पड़ गई, इधर से रेट पड़ गई, all those things. How this was calculated? आपकी जितनी अकाउंट में वाइट आ गई, कितनी पेमेंट आपको चेक में आई, अच्छा आपने एक्सपेंसेस कितने डाले. If I have a copy of that, I'll just be showing you in that demo balance sheet. People put in a drawings of say 60,000 for the whole year. What does that mean? 5,000 for the month. भाई साहब गर्मी का महीने में नॉर्थ इंडिया में इससे ज्यादा बिजली का बिल आ रहा है. तो अगर आप 5,000 में अपना सारा नहाना धोना खाना पीना कर रहे हैं, तो यू आर एक्चुअली फूलिंग योरसेल्फ. शो मोर, स्पेंड मोर, or say spent more what you have already actually done. And cash payments, in any case, I told you above 10,000 you will be in a suit. Your CA will only disallow it if tomorrow the returns are audited and these payments will be rejected, and then you end up with a higher tax liability. If that say expense of cash payment of above 10,000 is not allowed, then what will happen? You will have more profit. You will pay more tax. So remember, you have to follow these rules. But then showing actual income is the answer. COVID has given you the time to reset and reboot. Jitna kama rahe ho, now start showing. Whatever you have in or you had in black, I will say you have spent all that amount in the emergency, say in the past 3 months for your income. I believe, as I said last year, last session also, when I was dealing with bank accounts, कि आज के देर में there is nothing called as a A or a B account or a white and a black account. Every account is mostly Aadhaar or PAN linked, and there is no say escaping the route that ये account में show ना करूँ. Every account has to be shown in the ITR except the non-dormant. Every non-dormant account has to be shown in the ITR, as I mentioned in the last session. So, sorry. So another query, I have a fear in mind that so we don't deposit money in bank and our black money increases. How can I increase bank balance without paying much tax? I don't actually need to answer this. I've already given the answer for this in the presentation. People want to increase bank balance or increase white without paying taxes. This is not possible actually. I hope you have got the answer by now. And I've told you the theory of relativity also in conversion. Your stored black money is decreasing in value and your invested money is increasing in value, whatever percentage it is. Even if it is presently growing at 6 to 7% in current times, remember our living expenses have also rationalized. Everything has a, we say corrected by 65 to 70%. Whatever we were spending 100 for, we are now indulging in 65 to 70 expenses. We are not splurging. We will not be splurging for the next 6 months on much on dining, absolutely not on vacation, and very rarely on travel. So all those bonds have been, and again, the movie part, multiplex part, the shopping part, all that will come down drastically. So all those wants will automatically be curbed. So you can't increase your income or assets without paying taxes. White banana hai to 20-30 dena padega. I say only one line if you get the gist out of this session of personal finances before I go on to the last part of this presentation. 70 and 80 is more than 20 or 30. 20 and 30 is the tax, obviously I'm talking about. If you understand this one line, you'll get to know. 20-30 बचाने के लिए हम लोग 70 से 80 को छुपा देते हैं. That 70 to 80 can grow, easily grow. So the choice is entirely yours. So the big game changer, we are talking about what is the actual ideal followed system for ITRs. Again, this is the one I'm taking for the self-employed people. So the game changer, again, courtesy late finance minister, late Mr. Arun Jaitley, who passed away last year. So the presumptive income scheme for professionals since 2016-17. So those whose gross receipts are above 2.5 lakhs and less than 50 lakhs. So the range is 47.5 lakhs. And believe me, 90% or more, 95% of the dentists will fall in this slab. Again, we are talking of the annual numbers. 2.5 लाख से ज्यादा कमा रहे हो और 50 लाख से कम कमा रहे हो. 50 lakhs annual means 4,16,000 roughly gross. So if you are having a figure of 4,16,000 average per month, you can opt for this section. What are the advantages? I'll be dealing with them. Again, as I said, this is the basic parts. I've just been dealing with this only. So in this section, your 50% of your income is automatically presumed as your expenses. You don't need to show bills or keep bills for it. Suppose you earn 100 rupees, government will presume that you had expenses of 50%. That is one common reason I took expenses from my presumed 2 lakh as 50% of 1 lakh only since the first installment of this session. So 50% if you earn 100, 50% are presumed as your say expenses, and then over the 50 you can claim deductions also. if you are investing for your future, which you should also. So the biggest advantage, as I mentioned in the last, for books of accounts, we need to maintain book of accounts. But for this section, section 44 ADA or the presumptive taxation, this is mostly for self-employed people who will be following ITR 4, who will be filing ITR 4 and who fall in the range of 2.5 lakhs to 50 lakhs of income. These are the clauses. They need to maintain no books of accounts. एक से दर्दी कम हो. This is not a small headache. This is a big headache for those who are maintaining it. I'll come to other advantages also. So then what is mandatory? बिल नहीं दिखाना है, पर what is mandatory? Government, कुछ तो government के पास proof होना चाहिए कि हाँ आपने क्या earn किया है. Is there any specific format to maintain accounts? We discussed in the last say, this was one of the first few slides in say installment 2 of this. I keep going back to the link 1 and 2 because, as I said, these 3 parts, rather 4 parts, there is a surprise for you also after the 4th part. So these all 4 parts are actually linked with each other. So the form 3C, the government says we don't need actually your say expenses, but we need the source of your income. You need to have where, what, how, and where you earn. So you need to have a simple format, digital in the format of form 3C and manual in the form of register D. And I laid out a modified version for this also. For those who want to know the details of this, they can go back and watch session 2. The details of this are in there. So I'm just missing out on those parts here. So what I mean to say is that you don't need to keep bills, but you need to keep the input source over here. So then it comes, if you say we want to show our expenses are more, our expenses are say more than 50%. We have 70% expenses and we have 30% profit. The government says, the law says you have to go in for an audit. If you say my income, total income is less than 2.5 lakhs in a year, less than 21,000 per year. Okay, even that condition, you have to go for an audit. An audit is basically in which your CA will verify all your bills, all your inputs, all your transactions, and put a stamp over it that verified by the CA. In that case, the responsibility becomes totally of the CA. Of course, for a normal return and for an audited return, the difference in costing by CAs is more. So audit is mandatory for even for presumptive taxation in these 2 above cases. So how did this section came into being? There is a section 44 AD, only AD. It is there for the traders. They say up to the sale of 2 crores. If they have say a turnover of less than 2 crores, they can pay just a tax of 8% over their actual turnover and get freedom from all the books of accounts. So if that is for manual, and if they are paying digitally, they get a 2% rebate on that. 2% not in percentage, but in 2% of taxes. So they have to pay digitally 6% of tax. So that section 44 AD was modified. This was for traders and businessmen. It was modified by an amendment by Mr. Jaitley, and section 44 ADA was introduced for professionals. All the professionals can opt for it, not only doctors or dentists, but architects, lawyers, say CAs, even those can opt for this thing. So I'll just give you a very small example for a dentist who's a consultant in many clinics. She earned an income of 18 lakhs and her income is total this. So what are the actual say numbers if the say dentist goes by that conventional system or goes by the say presumptive system? So if we say the total income was 18 lakhs, the expenses which she had was 6 lakhs. So those included travel, transport expense, property tax, water, sewage bills, electricity expense, conferences, whatever, all those expenses. Costing that, the net profit was 12 lakhs. So if she had opted for a presumptive mode, her income is presumed at 50% of 18 lakhs. So her total taxable income will be 9 lakhs. Now let's come to tax calculation. Of course, this is a cycle which you have to learn. But if we go by the normal tax calculation, the total tax liability will come out to be 1,72,500. going by the slab of 5, 20 and 30. The 5% slab is payable by those who have an income of even a single rupee above 5 lakhs. That is for only those, it is say 0 only for those who are having income less than 5 lakhs. So if we go the 44 ADA way or the presumptive taxation way, so 9 lakhs that is the taxable income, and the end result is 92,500. What was the figure in the conventional mode? 1,72,500. By presumptive mode, 92,500. So she will be able to save. She'll have say claim deductions also. I've not applied deductions over here just for the ease of simplicity, but deductions are same in both if she's doing that. As per the OTR, we say the old tax regime. Of course, the government, the finance minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, laid out the say new tax regime. I'm not going to go into the details of that. That is slightly complex unless you say learn the basics or the OTR. You can't be sure about the NTR. But the bottom line is, if you are investing for your retirement investment planning, then OTR will still be best for you rather than the NTR or the new tax regime. So via this mode, she'll be able to save 80,000 of taxes, which is a huge number. And what will actually she get along with other benefits? Let's see the benefits. It is a very simplified system. The shortest ITR return used to be ITR 1 for the salary, which was known as a Saral. After the new tax regime, I call that form as the Jatil form. Not the Saral, but the Jatil form. Of course, that is a joke on the lighter side. But now the simplest ITR is ITR 4. Believe me, apart from KYC, there are just about 7 to 8 columns need to be that filled. And I guide that in my workshops on how to file ITR 4. Still, you'll need to make those 2 pages of balance sheet, which I showed you multiple times in session 2 and session 3 in my last Sunday and this Sunday presentation. So no bills are needed. This is the biggest escape from maintaining books of account. No need of maintaining books of account under section 44A, which mandates maintaining books of accounts. Then no requirement of having accounts audited if the gross sale is up to 50 lakhs. As I said, the range is 47.5 lakhs. 2.5 lakh से ऊपर 50 lakh से कम. If you fall in that category, 95% dentists will fall into that actually. So so no 4 installments of advance tax. People have to pay, as I mentioned in the last, 4 installments of advance tax on 15 June, 15 September, and 15 December and 15 March. We pay only one. ITR 4 people pay only one installment, 100% on the 350th day of the year. And believe me, by March 15, when 350 days of the year, we actually have got almost complete idea of what our income would be for the next year. We usually know what will be the pending payments in the next 15 days or what will be our expenses in the next 15 days. So we can actually make a say right calculation and save ourselves late fee and penalty under different sections of 234B and C. So yes, comparatively lesser taxes as I showed in the example, and the biggest thing, almost no need of CA. So you have 2 less headaches. One was maintenance of books of accounts. You have one big headache and no need of your CA also. Of course, that comes with a given that you have to maintain your you have to maintain your financial literacy to the optimum. So these are the there are total 7 ITR forms for the individuals at HUF. I mentioned in last presentation also there are 4 forms which are applicable. So let me just specify. I laid out these criteria. Rather spoke about these criteria, but didn't show you this form. So income less than 50 lakhs. As I said, the word salary and pension is interchangeable. One house, other sources. Now this has changed to 2 houses now in say the amendment which came in the budget 2020. So ITR 2, everything from ITR 1, but above 50 lakhs, the capital gains or the mutual fund gains as a partner in firm, foreign income or agriculture income above 5,000. Then the schedule BP, ITR 3 and ITR 4 is for self-employed people, or it is also for those people who are actually in dual income. Dual income means you're working in a college or say in a hospital in the morning, drawing a salary, maybe less than 50 lakhs, but you're having income from business and profession also. So you will have to file ITR 3. So then people like me who have a single source of income, and most of us self-employed, presumptive income under 44 ADA. We fall into 44 ADA category. Then this is for limited liability partnership, association of persons, say firms. The 5 and 6 we are not concerned with that. For individuals, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are valid only. So I always believe a knowledge in investment in knowledge always pays you the best interest. And so growth and passive income, if we talk about this, or the carry home point for today, आगे की बात really और थी. Black money we could invest in property or real estate. Let me just give you a scenario. Assume 3 dentists who have 20 lakhs of money as capital. One of them has 20 lakh white. The second one has 20 lakh white plus 10 lakh black. The third one has 5 lakh white plus 15 lakh black. At the end of 10 years, who will have more money if they assumingly keep earning the same amount? Let's suppose they keep earning the same amount. Who will have more money? I'm sure you all know the answer by now. The one having 20 lakh white, because his other money which is there with him in white is growing at any percentage, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 16, depending on the type of return, depending upon the portion of the investment invested in different instruments. Of course, not all would be in the saving account. What I mean to say is depending upon the different investments. So the first will have more money. So if you are concealing your income, actually, like most colleagues, or have been guided by your CA to do so, kindly think twice. So why failing students? We all have say failing students in our classes who were nalayak students, we will say, or the backbenchers. They always get rich because for them school is not everything. They develop skills other than say rectification or memorization, as we say. They go against the herd mentality or what the crowd says. They always look past. They always disobey their parents and teachers. Not always, but most of them do get rich. We have to understand this part very clearly. So the carry home point for today is don't rely always on your CA. Be financially literate. Start with the basics. Slowly build on that. No can be Hercules in one day. To slowly build on that. Let these 4 sessions be a starting point for all basics in your life. And always remember, if you earn well, show more. As I said, the catchword is show. SHOW. If you earn well, pay good tax, show more in white. Make that white money grow for you. At any percentage, that money is growing. Rather than if you don't pay tax, you will still have money in your almirah, in your cupboard, in your surang, in your sanduk, in whatever place, in your bathroom, in your say false ceiling, wherever the ministers, in your sofa, in your bed cover, wherever you consider, you know better. But that money will be black, dead, and blocked. So the choice is entirely yours. So we started from this the Gulabo Sabo example today. So thank you, Underdog Dentist Squad, for thinking me capable enough to being say contoured in this thing. Okay. So the last carry home gyan, why we see unhappiness all around. सुबह सुबह व्हाट्सएप पर इतनी ज्ञान और समझदारी भरी पोस्ट पढ़ने के बाद ये प्रश्न खड़ा होता है कि अगर दुनिया में इतना ज्ञान और समझदारी है तो परेशानी, दुख, तकलीफ और विवाद क्यों है? So always enjoy. Today is a day of multiple events. It is a happy International Yoga Day. So World International Yoga Day, the World Music Day, the Father's Day, the Solstice Day, the Longest Day, the Solar Eclipse Day, the Motorbike Day, the Selfie Day, and as predicted by some, the Earth's End Day, according to the Mayan calendar also. So this is a very famous day today. So I hope I've done justice to the longest day by keeping my presentation as the longest in all out of the 3 until now with you. So thank you all of you. Before I leave for questions or we go for questions, just a few announcements. This is my say phone numbers, contact. You can get me in touch for any problems. So this is my website. I'll be giving the links for my journals also. So I'm present on social media. All my profiles are by my name only, Dr. Bhavdeep, DRBHAVDEEP, without any space or dot. So I was lucky initially made, so didn't have an underscore also needing over there. So I have a YouTube channel where I post videos almost every week. I posted a video today morning as well. So if you forget the channel link, again, that is also by the name of Dr. Bhavdeep. If you forget, go to YouTube and search for Dr. Bhavdeep, subscribe to it. and hit the bell icon so you get notified by one or two videos. Apart from finance, I also say deal in practice management and medical legal aspects. So I keep posting videos on that also. So I write financial series for various journals. So for WGSR and Idea Punjab, and all those issues are available on my website also. This is the direct link if you want to download. Again, the website going by my name only /finance.html. So have a few WhatsApp groups on practice management and finance. A few slots are pending in the fifth group for finance. The finance group is practice management group is presently full. I'll keep you in waiting whenever people keep on leaving groups. So whenever it is, these are actually advertisement free groups. Even my own lectures and workshops or say webinars are not promoted over there. So it is strictly study based groups. This is my way of actually giving back to the society. So please do share your valuable feedback either on my personal number or on the say Underdog Dentist Squad session where the video is currently being played. So I'll appreciate bouquets and brickbats. Both would be welcome in equal measure from me. Whatever you send, I'll heartily accept that. So thank you for all this and wonderful opportunity given by Underdog Dentist Squad. Thank you, Girish and Vaibhav. And I stop my share for say question answers over here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. You have mentioned 7 days, 7 events in the single day. Let me add one more to it. Today is Investment and Finance Sunday by Dr. Bhavdeep Ahuja.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, sir, we have a couple of questions. One is somebody was asking about the difference between savings and investment. So the question was, is savings and investment the same thing?
No, saving and investment is not entirely same thing. Savings can fall in the category of emergency money also. Investment is definitely for your future, for your investment. It is basically for your alternate trip, as I mentioned very clearly.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it advisable to take a mortgage loan to pay all credit card bills piled up in these lockdown days, or start afresh?
Mortgage bill, I didn't get the question. Please repeat it.
Is it advisable to take a mortgage loan to pay all credit card bills that are piled up in these lockdown days, or start afresh?
I always believe that credit cards are the worst form of credit, whatever one can have. Their interest rate goes up from 36 to 42% even. Even some of them have as high as 48%. SDFC has some say clauses wherein you pay 4% interest. They say you are very happy seeing the 4%. You don't see the next word. It is 4% per month. So it actually translates to 48% per year, which is a huge amount. So you pay the late finance charges, you pay the late payment charges, plus the other interest on the pending part. So we are just happy to say pay the minimum amount sometimes. I have a credit card series written on my say website. I gave the link just in my presentation. So you can download the credit card. I've say taken up in 3 or 4 issues separately in that. Once you read that, it will be very clear to you. But yes, avoid using credit cards. If you can handle them well, if you can pay the full amount, enjoy the 50-day interest-free credit period. But if you can't, don't take or say again, don't say splurge out or splash out your cards just because your friends have a couple of them and you're doing that. As per the mortgage loan part or the other part, what I always advise is that you finish off your smaller loans first and then concentrate towards the bigger loans first. Because smaller loans eat more from your pocket, and it is better to have one big loan rather than 10 small loans.
But sir, don't you think we have to pay a lot more interest on credit card bills? So I think should we focus more on paying the credit card first as compared to other loans, or how should?
The only thing is, I always believe, as I said, we should not indulge in the minimum payment part for credit card. We should indulge in the full payment part. That is what I said. If you can handle that part, if you can pay in full after enjoying the 50-day credit-free period, go for it. If you can't, don't indulge into that. So yes, the other loans will be maximum at 15, 16, 17%. This will be above the 30s or the 40s. So yes, it is liable to be paid first only. But whenever the credit card companies give you an offer of converting it into an EMI, always read the fine print document clearly, because even those EMIs come with a lot of interest factor.
Yeah, somewhere around 20%,
Yeah,
22%.
around 22 to 23% is their average. It can be as high as 28 also. But they then have a say option in this that we are still giving you at 50% rebate kind of a thing. But
Right.
that 50% is even more than the normal personal loan part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a question. I took a loan of nearly 10 lakhs for starting my practice. It is very difficult to pay off EMIs and also save some amount. What is your suggestion to manage this?
I gave you an example of my friend vividly. My all presentations usually cover all these parts. So maybe you joined late about this part. So whatever you have loan amount, that is one thing. I believe that anybody can spare at least 5, 10, 15,000 per month. 10,000 is not a big amount to spare. So start with 10,000. As then when your loans are over, you can shift to bigger amounts. Of course, then when depending upon what your age at that time is, and I believe that you don't indulge in another bigger loan at that stage. So if you are say loan free at that amount, then calculate from the age of 55. I always tell to take 55 as a benchmark. The longer you can work is good enough, is fair enough and acceptable. But you have to draw a line somewhere because you can never be sure about the outcome of our profession. So what I believe is that if you can, if you say, let's suppose you get free by the age of 40, so calculate accordingly that in next 15 years, how much you have to invest to have a corpus of around 3.5, 4 CR, just as I mentioned. So you need
Right.
to have a corpus for your retired life. It is sorrowful so to beg and borrow from your kids for your time.
Right. Okay. Our insurance premiums will come under which head? Needs or wants or future goals?
See, insurance, the first thing is it comes investment, but still I'll be taking up the query, no issues. The only thing is you have to understand what insurance you have. Is it an endowment plan or a term plan? Because most policies till 2 years back were 80 to 90% of them were the endowment plan. Endowment plans and term insurance plans, the difference broadly is term plan is like a vehicle insurance. You live, the installment goes, you pay again next year, like your vehicle. You are happy to pay the insurance and you are happy to claim the NCB, the no claim bonus, and you don't want your vehicle to be hit. Similar for your term insurance plan, you live and you pay next year the premium. While the endowment plan, the actual common approach is the normal Hindi word, agar main bach gaya to, are you sad to be alive? So you should be happy to be alive. So the endowment plan is basically the money back plan. They are not bad. They are not bad. They can be kept for short-term goals. We'll be taking that part in the next session. So endowment plans are good if you take them up from the point of view of say short-term goals. Yes, I have a say need coming up in the next 5 years. Let's suppose my kids' education. Let's suppose my sister's marriage, or whatever there is. You can keep those for that. But whatever you take, most of them fall in the 80C section 80C category, which covers 1.5 lakh per year. So they both come under rebate, either term insurance plan or your endowment plan. Most of them under 80C or 80CC.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. In the 50, 30, 20 formula, 20% should be in the bank or it should be invested in the market.
The 20% is your alternate RIP plan. You never keep all eggs in one basket. You always do mixed investment. As I said, you'll
Right.
have a PPF also at 8 or 7%, and you have a mutual fund also at 12 to 15%. So that the bottom line of that is, I'm sorry, I forgot that one line over there. The bottom line is that we actually have an average of 10%. Why? Because we want to beat inflation. Whatever the government figures might be, that inflation this year is 5.5 to 6% or whatever, the actual annual expenses grow by 10%. Let's suppose
Right.
in the last year, in the same time, you not again, not don't take COVID times into consideration. Let's suppose normal times are going on. Just compare it with last year. If you had 50,000 expenses in this, then you will be having around 55 or 54 of your expenses, and that expenses will include your kids fees, your daily expenses, your bijli ka bill, your pani ka bill, and every all other expenses. So they will include that only. So
Right.
you have to beat inflation. whenever you talk of say investing, your 20% of your say gross should go into that part. 20% of your net, sorry, should go into that part. Again, I give you a modified formula: 45, 15, 40. You have to follow that if you can, because that will be more paying for you. So you invest accordingly. Not banks will still give you 3%, 4%. A bank like Yes will give you 6 now. Yes will also reduce a bit. So IDFC still is the highest paying bank in a saving bank, up to 7% even now. So imagine FDs at 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, and a bank like IDFC paying you 7% in a saving bank account. So where does the FD is a good instrument? So you always mix and match your investments according to your goals. You need to keep some money which you always have for short-term needs, which you can or may need to withdraw, because a PPF would come in with a lock-in of 15 years.
Exactly.
But a mutual fund or a ELSS come with a lock-in of 3 years. You might need to withdraw. So it depends upon your needs and goals. You need to understand that. I'll be taking that needs and goals and investment part in the next session itself.
Right. Can we claim deductions in presumptive mode?
100%. I told you can claim 80C deductions and even 80D, all deductions. The modes are not different. You can claim all deductions like your conventional system in your presumptive system as well.
Right. Is GST applicable for dentists, and if it is, then how?
Healthcare is exempted from GST. Whatever payments you charge from your patients, you don't have to charge any amount of GST in that. So the government is very clear on that. So the GST is exempted. You can't charge that from patient. Yes, when you pay back, say, or buy certain things from your dealers or from any kind of purchase you make, you have to pay GST on that. We are not unfortunately allowed to have a GST number in the terms of input tax credit. That if we buy it then and we can claim it, we're not allowed that.
Right. Okay. Can we claim depreciation when we file 44ADA?
No, because depreciation is part of your expenses. As I showed you in the income and expenditure sheet, it is covered under expenses. It is a portion of that. You can't claim any depreciation. So the good part is, even this point I like to add over here. The good point is that traders who fall in 44AD section, only AD, they have a lock-in of 3 years. That once they opt in for a presumptive, they can't say move out of that for 3 years. But for dentists, the good part is we can opt in and opt out of this scheme every year. So let's suppose I file ITR 4. Next year I buy an OPG or a microscope, which comes at a heavy price, and I want to claim depreciation. I'll switch back to ITR 3. Of course, that comes with the added cost that ITR 3 is the most complex return, and I'll have to involve my CA in that. But as I said, you don't put in the depreciation, but you still make the balance sheet because you have to carry forward the written down value of that. In the period you didn't file ITR 3, let's suppose you file ITR 4 for 2 years. For those 2 years, the balance sheet still have to be made, and the actual amount will have to be balanced with the, say, the factual amount. The factual amount is 50% given by the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, I guess there is a question about GST only.
Go on.
In continuation with the previous one, somebody was saying that now that the dental clinics are included in MSME, then what is the scenario of GST?
Dental clinics were already under MSME since many years. This was a false myth again, propagated by the concerned people. This is a wrong myth to have actually. We were already under MSMEs since long. One of my friends in Sholapur, one of my friends in Nagpur in Maharashtra, they are registered under MSME since 2003-4, as long as 16 years back. So it is just a propaganda that there is no additional advantage except for easy availability of loan. No other benefit. No other benefit. As such, for the dentist that I can see, yes, it increases your paperwork. On one hand, we talk of decreasing our paperwork and our headache in the form of presumptive taxation. And on the other hand, say we talk of increasing our say paperwork through MSME. It's your choice. They do have they do have many advantages listed, but just check out the advantages which are applicable on you. They might have 10 to 11 advantages listed over internet. Check which are ones are applicable to you. Except for loan, you won't find any other usable to you.
Right. Okay. One more question. Okay, two more questions. What all books of account that are must to be maintained when we talk about filing 44 ADA?
No books of accounts are needed. You get say freedom from maintaining any kind of books of account. Otherwise, as I mentioned in the last session, in second session on 14 June, we need to maintain books of accounts for 6 years from the last assessment year filed. So medical records or the say practice management records were mandatory by the DCI for 3 years. The IT records were mandatory for 6 years. So add the current assessment year to make it 7. For 44 ADA, no books of accounts are mandatory. Only the source of input in the form of Register D manual or Form 3C digital. Whatever suits you, you can do that.
Okay. Okay. One more question. A term insurance should be taken in money back or without money back, and all riders should be included in it or not?
Term insurance with money back will make your premium to a very high or an exorbitant amount. Number one. Number two, the money back still which you will get at a age of the finishing of the policy will be comparatively peanuts compared to the amount you pay. So I'll just give you an example. Let's suppose you have a policy of 1 crore. You'll just get back about 20 to 25 lakhs for most banks. Yes, they differ from policy to policy. Number one. Number two, for most policies, when you go on adding the riders, you just have about 2 to 3,000 extra per rider. But yes, add the mandatory ones. The accidental is mandatory. We'll be discussing these parts in the next session. So no point in just answering in brief about it. But yes, most of the riders have to be included, and that does not mean including all. I'll be detailing you what all to be needed in the next session.
Right. So there were a few questions about investment also. So we'll be forwarding it to you so that you can address them in the next session.
No issues. No issues.
All right. That's all we have.
I'll add those in the presentation itself.
Sure. Sure. Okay. That's all we have today as far as the questions are concerned. Thank you so much, Dr. Weber, for sending in the questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhavdeep, for helping us all out. If you have anything to say, please continue. And
thank you, Underdog Dentist Squad, for giving me this opportunity to share me out on a Sunday evening with all of you. We have one more session and a slight surprise after that also. So stay tuned. The last session will be the one which will be the most say awaited one for most of you, the investment part. So yes, of course, I can't expect to cover everything in the next session in 1 to 1.5 hours. But again, this session is all about basics or getting connected to that. Yes, thank you, Dr. Weber, Dr. Girish. Dr. Weber and his contribution is equally good in the background, as good as Dr. Girish is. So yes, it is always a wonderful opportunity to share with colleagues. So I'll request all of you, those who are watching or those who watch it at a deferred date or a later date, kindly do drop in your honest feedback to the session in the comment section over there only where you watch the video. So I'll highly appreciate that because it keeps you motivated and keeps you running and goes. So enjoy your Sunday, whatever is left. The solar eclipse is over. The earth is still there and it has not ended. So the world will move on and we'll move from our bad days to good days pretty soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. For those of you who have missed the part 1 and part 2 of this series that we did on 7th and 14th of this month, you can check the unit section that is in the group itself, and you'll be able to find the session that we did on 7th, 14th, and today's session itself. And we'll be doing one more session on 28th, and definitely there is a surprise that we are planning for you after 28th. All right, let's see you and meet on 28th of this month. Goodbye and take care.
Thank you.